working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching ASEAN in Focus on tonight's headlines. President Marcos Jr. urging the military to adjust accordingly in dealing with tensions in the highly contested West Philippine Sea. The World Health Organization expressed concern about bird flu after the father of an 11-year-old Cambodian girl who died from the disease also tested positive. Former NBA player Carmelo Anthony is in the country and said that the Philippines co-hosting of the 2023 FIBA World Cup is a huge opportunity to strengthen the foundation of the country's basketball growth. And later, absurdist sci-fi comedy Everything Everywhere All at Once continued its dominance of this year's Hollywood Awards shows by earning top honors from the Screen Actors Guild. First in our news, President Marcos urged the military to adjust accordingly in dealing with tensions in the highly contested South China Sea or West Philippine Sea. He cited how the Philippines is currently facing more complex foreign situations compared to before. Take a look.
Salamat sa inyong pagservisyo. Things have begun to change and we must adjust accordingly. But I know, in my heart, I know that our men, our officers, our men, our women in the military will always stand up. Will always stand up to the challenges that the Philippines faces in the best tradition of the military, in the best tradition. Keep up the good work. The country thanks you. The country is counting on you.
Impact niyan kasi alam niya naman na he is our commander-in-chief at syempre natutuwa tayo at nagagalak. Nabibisita siya ngayon, ano? And for the first time, yung talk to the men or talk to the troops will be held. So malaking moral boosting activity to ng presidente at we welcome that especially for our troops. And first time din na yung ating mga commanders kakausapin niya rin at the level of the area command or the provincial level kasi usually ang commanders ay pinapatawag lamang sa Malacanang upang doon makausap. But for the first time, dito sa probinsya, dito niya kakausapin ng mga commanders. On the part of the area command, we get the orders directly from the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, si General.
Meanwhile, President Marcos also reminded government troops of the administration's foreign sea policy, which is guided by a commitment to peace and guided by the national interest. He expressed gratitude to the AFP for never failing to protect the country's people and defend its territory. He was also thankful for the role they played in the conduct of good, safe, peaceful, and honest elections last year. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization is expressing concern about bird flu after the father of an 11-year-old Cambodian girl who died from the disease also tested positive and raising fears of human-to-human transmission. In Cambodia, the girl fell ill on February 16 with a fever, cough, and sore throat, and then died on Wednesday from the H5N1 bird flu virus, according to the Health Ministry. Authorities then collected samples from 12 people who had been in contact with her. On Friday, authorities said the girl's 49-year-old father had tested positive, adding that he was asymptomatic. The WHO said it was in close contact with the Cambodian authorities about the situation, including regarding the test results of the girl's other contacts. Humans rarely get bird flu, but when they do, it's usually from coming in direct contact with infected birds. Investigators in Cambodia are working to establish whether the girl and the father were exposed to infected birds. If bird flu transmission is confirmed to have taken place between humans, the WHO said a series of measures could be put in place fairly quickly. For example, the WHO said there are nearly 20 H5 bird flu vaccines licensed for pandemic use. But Richard Webby, head of the WHO Center for Studying Influenza in Animals, estimated it could take 5 or 6 months to update and produce such a vaccine for the currently circulating strain of H5N1. In other news, back here in the country, GM Alim Siddiqui Giapal of PEZA welcomed the creation of the Green Lanes for Strategic Investments as stipulated by the Executive Order 18 signed on February 23 for RCEP. Let's listen in.
Babanggitin na rin natin yung bago lang pinirmahan ng Presidente, yung Executive Order number 18, yung Green Lane sa mga investment, wherein we have to respond to any investment inquiries, registration within 20 days. And hopefully, sa mga ahensya po, ang mga responsibilidad natin dito is to provide the mechanism that we make sure that we have now the political will. We should also have the infrastructure. Example na dito yung digitalization ng application requirements, payment requirements, kung saan mapapabilis po ang pagresponde sa mga pangangailangan ng ating mga investors.
Now, EO18 defines strategic investments as those which are aligned with the Philippine Development Plan or any similar national development plan and can be characterized by the significant capital or investment to the country, consequential economic impact, positive impact on the environment, significant contribution to the country's balance of payments with complex technical processes and engineering designs, and will bring improvement in the country's infrastructure capabilities. Meanwhile, President Marcos Jr. will officially welcome the Malaysian Prime Minister at ceremonies in Malacanang on March 1. Now, the two leaders will hold a bilateral meeting to discuss areas of mutual concern such as political security and economic cooperation, as well as people-to-people ties. They are also expected to exchange views on regional and international issues. Afterwards, the President will hold a dinner banquet in honor of the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, the 10th Prime Minister of Malaysia, is the first head of government to visit the Philippines under President Marcos Jr.'s administration. In tonight's other news, Swiss food giant Nestle will halt all production in Myanmar, according to a spokesperson, the latest firm to draw back from the country after a military coup 2 years ago. The Southeast Asian nation has been in turmoil since the military ousted Aung San Suu Kyi's government, sparking widespread unrest and tanking the economy. A raft of foreign companies has since exited the market, including oil giants Total Energies and Chevron and Norwegian telecoms operator Telenor. Due to the current economic situation, Nestle's factory in the commercial hub Yangon, as well as its head office, would cease operations, according to a spokesperson telling AFP without giving a time frame. Nestle sells Nescafe instant coffee, Maggi noodles, and Milo chocolate malt beverage in Myanmar. A Myanmar firm would instead market and distribute Nestle products from Thailand, Malaysia, and the Philippines, according to that spokesperson. The spokesperson said there were 138 employees at Nestle's Myanmar factory and head office. In other news in the region, upon the invitation of Dr. Chutima Yemchotwalit, governor of the Thailand Institute of Scientific and Technological Research, or TISTR, a composite team of the Philippine Embassy, led by Ambassador Her Excellency Millicent Cruz Paredes, visited the agency's main headquarters, called the Technopolis, and several research facilities within the TISTR complex in Pathum Thani, Thailand. The embassy's visit to TISTR was finalized after Dr. Shutimak's participation in the 2023 ProPac Philippines on January 31 to February 3 this year. In her brief stay in the Philippines, Dr. Chutima was able to finalize the signing of the letter of intent with the Department of Trade and Industry Secretary Alfredo Pascual. She also had the opportunity to attend a meeting with senior officials of the Department of Science and Technology, including Secretary Dr. Renato Solidum Jr. The meetings with DTI and DOST explored possible activities and programs for cooperation on strengthening the application of science and technology for Philippine and Thai SMEs and entrepreneurs. In other news, Hong Kong is scrapping its mask mandate from Wednesday, tomorrow, ending the financial hub's last major COVID curb as it seeks to emerge from the pandemic. Take a look.
口罩令將會喺明日，即係3月1號全面取消，包括室內、戶外以及公共交通工具嘅口罩令都取消。
因為已經好多人都已經中過一次或者甚至2次啦，其實我覺得可以唔需要噶啦。但係如果老人家自己覺得需要，可以自己自行決定再繼續戴啦，同埋小朋友都可能需要啦。
其實喺放寬方面咧係應該要嘅，不過應該係逐步去做咯，就唔希望係一次性咁樣解除晒所有嘅口罩令，因為有時可能人多密集嘅地方咧，咁始終都希望保護翻啲大眾咯，我會覺得。
Mr. Lee also added that hospitals and elderly homes can impose their own restrictions. The mask mandate was imposed 3 years ago and had remained in place for nearly 1,000 days. Hong Kong's lifting of its restrictions comes after the neighboring Chinese territory of Macau relaxed its own mask rules on Monday, dropping the measure except for high-risk public areas such as hospitals. In tonight's other news, former NBA player Carmelo Anthony is in the country. The FIBA World Cup Global Ambassador had simple advice for Gilas Pilipinas. The country is co-hosting the 2023 FIBA World Cup later this year. Let's listen in.
Personally, for myself to be here and get a chance to come to one of my most popular places in the world, as far as when it comes to my fan base. The Filipino fans is some of the best fan bases that's in the world, and I say that in a very genuine way because there's not another place in the world where there's basketball. Like it's just basketball, and that's what's being preached from a little kid all the way up to an adult. Heart is all of it, right? Because if you don't have no heart, you can have the skill, you can have the talent, but if you don't have the heart to go out there and put that talent to the test, then what's the point of having the skill or the talent? And I think everything starts with the heart.
Now, before the game, Anthony was presented to the crowd as he carried the World Cup trophy to center court. He also rubbed shoulders with some of the national team players after the victory. Anthony joins Pau Gasol and Luis Scola as global ambassadors of the tournament. Absurdist sci-fi comedy Everything Everywhere All at Once continued its dominance of this year's Hollywood award shows by earning top honors from the Screen Actors Guild on Sunday. Take a look.
And the actor goes to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Michelle.
Never stop doing this because we really love it. But thank you for giving me a seat at the table because so many of us need this. We want to be seen, we want to be heard.
Now, the film about a Chinese-American family undergoing a tax audit who end up fighting a universe-hopping supervillain also won Best Actress for Michelle Yeoh, Best Supporting Actor for Ki Yui Kwan, and Best Supporting Actress for Jamie Lee Curtis. The movie's 94-year-old patriarch, James Hong, stole the show at Sunday's gala, collecting the night's final prize of Best Cast in a Motion Picture, the star-studded ceremony's equivalent of Best Film. The SAG prizes from the Actors Union round out a month in which Everything Everywhere has won Best Film from directors and producers groups too, making it firm favorite for the Oscars next month. Voted on by more than 120,000 members of Hollywood's acting union, the SAG Awards are an important precursor for the Academy Awards, whose largest voting bloc is also actors. The Oscars will take place this year on March 12. And here are some Filipino artists in the DFA celebration of the National Arts Month 2023 with the theme Ani ng Sining, Bunga ng Galing. Get to know some of the talented Filipino artists from various countries in Asia and Europe. Take a look.
Magandang araw po. Ako po pala si Raymond Ritual, isang OFW dito sa Vientiane, Laos. Sa kadahilan na tayo mga Pinoy, mahilig po tayo magtipon, madalas nagsasama tuwing may handaan, lalo na sa pamayan, kung saan may nakalatag na isang mahabang dami saging sa isang pagkainan. Tapos na may patiba at samad sa ulam at pagkain. Tapos walang gamit na kubiertos, walang kutsara tinidor, sadyang kamay lang po ang gamit.
Hi, my name is Patrick Regalado and I'm a Filipino living in Vietnam. I made this portrait of Dr. Jose Rizal. I made this as a tribute to his heroic act. This is oil pastel on paper and this is in cubism style, and this was a project of our painting session in Philippine Embassy. Thank you.
Norman Cunanan, IT engineer, passion photographer, and a proper artist seller. So, ang nag-inspired sa akin about this photo is yung smile, no? Despite na marami tayong problema mga Pinoy and Pinay, lagi pa rin tayo nag-smile. Through my lens, kinonvert ko itong shots na to into canvas. We can smile even nakaka-receive tayo ng mga problems sa life. So,
I'm Ms. Mirasol Aguila from the Philippines, and the title of my artwork is Keep the Child in You. It's 1 meter by 1 meter size canvas. I painted this piece because when I paint, I often like the feeling of being a child, that you don't need to care about problems and things like that, and all you need to do is just feel happy. And I choose the color that I put on that painting, like a child.
Hello everyone, I'm Gerardo F. Crisostomo. I'm a clay art artist. I made artwork using a model clay material. This is one of my artwork. It's entitled Bahay Kubo or Nipa Hut. This is a traditional house of the Filipinos, which are mostly made from bamboos and coconut grass. I created this to show how creative Filipinos are in making shelter out of natural material. This is entitled palayok or clay pots that normally used in cooking. This one is entitled harana, which is the traditional way of courting a woman during those times. And this is done by serenading a woman, which is done mostly during the night.
As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast of ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles, reminding you to stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.